Hi, I'm Nina Masinowski, and I'm the high school coordinator at Pioneer Valley Christian Academy. I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank you for coming tonight virtually. We do wish we could be here in person, but soon enough we will, Lord willing. So we're here to tell you tonight a little bit about high school and what you're looking forward to, and introduce ourselves more formally. We have seen you in the halls, and we're really excited to see you in our classrooms. But tonight, we'll get a chance to just tell you what our courses are all about, give you a little overview, and let you look forward to what's coming in the fall. So, we hope that tonight's informative for you and that it gets you very excited about what's coming up in your life. And if you have any specific questions that you'd like to ask any teacher, please feel free to contact us here at PVCA. You can email us, you can call the office, leave a message. We'll be happy to get back to you. So have fun tonight, and we hope that we answer all of your questions. God bless you all. We'll see you soon. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lindsay Witherow. I'm the English Department Chairperson. English 9 is a great place to start as far as your language arts education goes in high school. In English 9, students study a wide variety of topics. We do a lot of different literary genres. We do some short fiction, poetry, long works, including To Kill a Mockingbird and Hamlet and The Pearl by John Steinbeck. We like to give them a wide variety of different texts. While we read, we practice our literary analysis skills. And one of the things that we're doing in 9th grade is we're really training our students to be critical readers and to understand what the author is trying to communicate in the text. As they read, we will ask them to consider what the author means and what they want you to know and how that measures up to a biblical standard of truth. In addition to doing a lot of reading, we also do a lot of writing. Our focus is academic writing. So when students come in 9th grade, our goal is to develop a really strong foundation in academic writing that will bring them all the way through high school and even college. We do many different types of formal essays. We help them with the writing process, with developing a plan for writing, with outlining skills, drafting, and revising. One of the benefits of our English program, particularly in 9th grade, is the time we spend on the writing process. Students work on writing, evaluating their own writing, revising, and really learning where their own weaknesses are as writers and how they can grow in those areas. In addition to doing all of this writing and reading, we try to give them some opportunities for public speaking. A few times during the year, we have them do projects and give speeches so that they can practice their public speaking skills. We have a lot of great discussions in English class. We learn to communicate our ideas that might not always be in agreement with one another respectfully. And most importantly, we always defer to the Word of God on all matters that are contentious in any way. English 9 at PVCA is a great place to start. Our students have been very successful in college with their written work. We've gotten lots of positive feedback from our students who have done really, really well. So thank you for sending us your students. We're so happy to get them in our program. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me. I'm happy to answer any questions or discuss any matters that you'd like.
Hi, my name is Bethany Souza. I teach high school math here at PVCA. I am a parent of 4 kids that attend here at PVCA, and I also graduated a few years ago from this school. So I want to talk to you about a couple things. The first thing I want to talk to you about is my flipped classroom. So if I have your son or daughter in class, I have flipped my classroom, and what that means is I have pre-recorded different lessons that I will assign them for homework, and then in class the next day they will come in and do the practice problems for that lesson. So I don't know about you, but if you maybe struggled with math a little bit in high school when you were a kid, you might remember having a really hard time doing the problems at home. Maybe they seemed really hard, like you understood it when your teacher talked about it, and then you got home and really struggled. And if you didn't have an adult around you that could help you with your math, you maybe felt stuck. So the flipped classroom helps with that a little bit. So what I would ask from the families who are going to be in my classes is that you make a commitment to making sure your son or daughter really watches those video lessons for homework. So it should be easier for them and it should be less stress, but it's important for them to stay on top of those so that they then come into class the next day prepared, having already watched the lesson and taken the notes. So our math track here at PVCA is called a college prep math track. So we encourage students to take 4 years of math to be ready for any type of college program they might be interested in, and also so they can help prepare for the SAT their sophomore and junior year. And we start freshman year with Algebra 1, sophomore year with geometry, junior year with Algebra 2, and senior year with statistics. Often I get many parents asking me about the geometry in between Algebra 1 and Algebra 2. It seems kind of an odd fit, but I do encourage this order of courses. In general, the hardest course your son or daughter will take in the college prep track is going to be Algebra 2, their junior year. And I found in my experience that most often, most students are more ready developmentally to handle the difficult material in Algebra 2 when they are juniors. So a lot of it has to do with their age. Also, there's a second reason. Geometry takes a lot of what we learned in Algebra 1 and applies the concept in a new way. So they don't even really notice that they're practicing their algebra skills because we're focusing on something else, but they are inevitably practicing those algebra skills, and it only further helps them strengthen those skills to get ready for Algebra 2. So that's kind of the real big year out of the 4 years, is that junior year with Algebra 2. It's a big commitment, just a challenge for some of them. But if they really put in that time with the flipped classroom and making sure they're learning all types of problem-solving strategies in class, then they will be ready to do that their junior year. And then I've been really pleased with our statistics course in senior year. Statistics is becoming a really popular course in colleges for all different types of majors. And it's also not as difficult as Algebra 2. So often my seniors feel a nice relief when they get to the statistics course and they end up really enjoying it. And then it does help them when they get to college. Many have come back and said, oh, I learned so much in that statistics class, and I'm taking statistics now in college, and it's been so helpful. So that's the breakdown of our college prep track. And if you have any questions about what your year is going to look like for your son or daughter in math next year, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Snyder. I've been asked today to talk to you a little bit about Honors Algebra 1. So since you're coming into high school, what you need to know is that there are 2 tracks of math. There is a college prep track and there's also an honors track. So I'm going to talk about the honors track. We start off with Honors Algebra 1, you would then go to Honors Algebra 2, then Advanced Math and AP Calc in senior year. So that's the end expectation there. You would also be able to take physics senior year. Physics is not a math, it's a science, but there is a math prerequisite. So you would need to take advanced math before you could take physics. So that's how you would get to physics and AP Calc. So knowing that that's the end expectation of this track, we need to start preparing right away. So we start preparing for those in Honors Algebra 1. And the way I do that is we like to use a 4-prong approach. So one of the prongs would be analytical. So that's where we would use the algebra techniques that you're learning, the skills, that would be that analytical piece. The second piece would be numerical, so that's where you would use some kind of a chart or table. The graphical piece is just that, it's a graph. Sometimes you're given a graph, sometimes you need to generate that graph with a pencil and paper. Sometimes you're allowed to use a graphing calculator, which you will all be assigned a graphing calculator within the first couple days of school. We will use those graphing calculators when we can. Sometimes you won't be allowed to use them, sometimes you will. And then there's the verbal piece. So that verbal piece has really become more important, I would say, over the last 10 years or so. What that looks like is, can you justify your answer? And that would be with words. Can you explain what this problem means? The other place where it might come into play would be in application problems. A lot of times you might start with a verbal model and then translate that verbal model into something algebraic. Application problems, we do a lot of those. It's important that you see where some of these skills and procedures that you're using, where that would be used in more real life types of situations. So we do a lot of application problems as well. So these 4 prongs are important. We kind of go from one to the other and back and forth, and in the process what happens is it really deepens your understanding of what you're doing, which is important because the end goal is we really want to be better problem solvers. We want to be better at critically thinking. So it kind of all happens maybe in a more natural way, a more progressive, I guess. So that being said, there are lots of skills that we need to practice, and since this is honors, it's more heavily weighted. It's not just the same thing as maybe the other track. It's harder, there's more work, there's different expectations. So there is significant homework there that would be assigned because we need to practice. But I want you to be assured that I don't just assign things to keep you busy. Everything's got a reason. There's something that you need to learn in the process. And so we do work hard, but the end result is well worth it. So I hope to see you all in Honors Algebra 1.
I'm Mrs. Cherie Callender, and I teach 9th grade science, and it is a combination of physical and environmental science. And when we are in class, we focus a lot on the earth and space, and not in the way that you've learned it in the past. With elementary, yes, we understand that there's a solar system, we understand that there's a universe, but we go more in depth. We do a lot of applied observations, which is utilizing math, interpretate graphs and data that we collect ourselves. So we enjoy the challenge of learning how to calculate luminosity of stars and making the connection of just how God has created the universe to be perfect in all its way, to supply us with what we need to exist here on earth. And that is amazing in itself. And with physical science, and again, we also do some really great lab experiments with the egg drop experiment, talking about force, talking about gravity. We're going to possibly explore next year, I'm excited, airplanes, paper airplanes, to talk about air resistance and things like that. So the mechanics of why things do the things they do. And so with 9th grade science, we really take it up a little bit, get you prepared to be in labs and a lecture and lab style science because, you know, it's high school. So welcome aboard.
Hi, my name is Russ Annis, and I'm the history teacher here at PVCA. I teach world history, U.S. History 1 and 2, and a fun geography class for the seniors. High school seniors, that is. I started teaching here about 3 years ago after a long time in the music industry. And I have my master's degree from the University of Massachusetts in both education and in a thing called public history, which is presenting history to the public in unique ways. And so, Utilizing this training, I try to incorporate that into my classrooms and make history more tactile and tangible to the kids. To do this, I use various props, using artifacts and curios from my collection and from other people's as well. Things like an old lantern that was used on the railroads in the 1800s, or a 1750s Bible that the kids can come in and take a look at. And it just makes it more fun. I also have like a colonial English bobby helmet, and I have a drummer boy hat from the Civil War. So I try to bring that in along with coins from all over the world. And I also have a flag of the month club where each month I change to a different type of flag. And so I try to make history alive and to realize that these kids 20 years from now will be in textbooks and kids will be asking them about COVID-19. In world history, it's for 9th graders. So we're continuing on from their 8th grade textbook, and we complete the textbook starting with early European exploration of the world and the New World and the development of nation states into the present. It's kind of got a European emphasis that includes the Christian impact on the world stage.
Good evening. I'm Kevin David. I teach at Pioneer Valley Christian Academy, and the classes that I teach are directly related to my profession for over 30 years as a pastor. I've retired from pastoring now, but I'm not retired because I enjoy teaching God's Word at Pioneer Valley Christian Academy. I consider it an honor and a privilege that you would send your children here and trust us with their tutelage, as we're the educators in both Christian education, learning about the Bible and God's Word, relationships with mankind, and also regular academic education, which is extremely high here. So we have both a excellent academic education provided for your children through an excellent staff, and I think one of the best Bible curriculums that you can imagine. It gives your children the solid foundation that they need for life. I'm so glad you've chosen to come here and bring your children here. We take your trust very seriously, but we love your children too. Thank you for being with us. God bless you. So we have a solid foundation in Bible education, as I've already said. We begin with the 9th grade Bible class, which is an Old Testament survey. Now, a survey isn't like we study every single book all the way through. There's just simply not enough time to do that. But what we've discovered is if a student has an excellent foundation of the books of the Bible from Genesis to Malachi, we can cover the peaks and valleys that God's people have in relationship to God. Though people rebelled against God, He provided an answer that brokered a relationship with mankind. That began in the Old Testament. The Old Testament is both relevant and relative to people today as God shares His narrative through His Word and through the provisions that He made for mankind, beginning with priests, then judges, then prophets, and then finally kings. There were no good answers until the Messiah came, and that's where the New Testament takes over. Now imagine reading a book or watching a movie and beginning in the last third of the movie or the last third of the book. If you didn't have the preamble, if you didn't know the introduction or the middle part of the story, understanding the end of the story would be pretty difficult. And that's the way it is understanding the Bible. Yes, the New Testament is vital to our understanding of God and what He's provided for us in relationship to heal the brokenness so that we might live with Him for eternity and through His Son Jesus. But that's only because of what happened in the Old Testament. And so we learn the whole story by looking at the Bible holistically. And the freshman year is the year that we study the Old Testament. I hope that your students enjoy it as much as I do, It's an awesome opportunity to establish a great foundation for studying the Bible.
Hi parents, my name's Nina Masinowski. I've been at PVCA for, I think this is 30 years. And it's been a long time. My son has attended here. He came here when he was 4 and graduated 5 years ago. Loved the experience. I'm so happy that he has only positive things to say. I feel the same way. Love our school, and we're so glad that you're a part of it and that you're partnering here with us. So thank you for joining us virtually. And I'd like to give you just a little bit of background on Spanish. I decided to group Spanish 1, 2, 3, and 4 together because it's really a nice idea to see where your kids start in Spanish with Spanish 1 and where they'll end up in Spanish 4. So it's kind of a comprehensive, quick virtual ride through all the 4 years so you can see it all. So for those of you who are in advanced Spanish, whose children are in Spanish 4 or 3, you'll know that we started out with an emphasis on basic grammar, punctuation, spelling, conjugation of verbs, simple tenses, really just basically the present tense and the past tense. And in between, we bring in a lot of vocabulary and culture and history and geography. A really great intro, which hopefully gets your kids excited enough to stay on for Spanish 2 and 3. If you're students in 2 or 3, you're realizing that this year we're starting with the more advanced grammatical pieces. And here are the grammar constructions that even in English, a lot of people aren't really sure what they are. They know how to use them, but they don't know the names of them. So we really go deep in Spanish with them, which is great because it helps the kids with their English grammar as well. That's kind of why it's a great idea to keep your kids in Spanish as long as possible. It helps with PSATs, SATs, and it really just helps with their understanding overall of grammar. Finally, when they're done with 2 and 3, and there's always more vocabulary and all kinds of interesting little additions, we go on to Spanish 4. This is probably the most challenging year because we put all the grammar together and we do what's called the subjunctive tense. Now in English, most people don't even know what that is, and that's just fine. But in Spanish, it's a lot more common. It's difficult, but we do it. And we break it right down, and it entails really a great knowledge of all the grammar that's come before in Spanish 1, 2, and 3. And that's why those courses are so important foundationally. Keep your kids in it, because we're going to put it all together in Spanish 4. And we're actually going to be constructing paragraphs, really writing and using all the grammar we've finally learned. Well, there is more of an emphasis in our Spanish on the written word than there is on the verbal, only because to become fluent, you really have to get your kids out there, immerse them, and have them use it. When the time comes again, after this is all passed with the pandemic, we encourage missions trips, obviously family trips. We as a school would still love to do a trip to Europe. That's not off the table. Hopefully in the future we can do that. But at this point, I can tell you that when they graduate after 4 years with Spanish, they really will be able to translate just about any document pretty well. They'll be able to do a good rough translation for you. And almost all of them, if not all, have passed their placement exams for Spanish. So when they get to college, if they decide that they've had enough, they can pass, get the credit, and then they're exempt from having to take it, which is great. We encourage them to keep going, of course, which is great, but then they'll have a choice. So, whichever level your student is at, you see the importance of the level that came before and how we continue to build, and we get them to the point when they graduate where they're quite proficient in the language. Thanks for your support. We miss you. Hopefully we see you soon. If you have any questions, please email me nmaz@pvcama.org. We'd love to hear from you. Have a great night.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Jeffson, in case you didn't know, and I am the high school guidance counselor at Pioneer Valley Christian Academy. And my job is to get to know you, to work with you, and to help you through your high school career with all of your course selections, and also to help you get ready for college. One of the other jobs that I have is I do the service books, so I keep track of all your service hours. And in 9th and 10th grade, the students are required to do 16 hours of service a year, 8 each semester. And we have a service book, looks something like this, and you will fill it out, and I'll explain that to you when you and I meet. and you fill that out with your service hours. And I keep track of that for you. One of the other areas that I will be working with you is doing your course selection each year. And you and I will meet in my office. We will go over the courses to make sure that you're on track for graduation. And you and I will go through that form together. We'll pick your electives, and then you and your parents will sign it, and I will help you get set up for the classes you need to prepare for your future. We will be working together on your college planning or your career planning, wherever it is you feel that the Lord is leading you. So if the Lord's leading you to go to college, to start a career, to go to a trade school, to join the military, I will help you with that preparation. And finally, one of my favorite parts of my job is just to meet with you. My office is located near the principal's offices, back in the academic offices, and I would love to have you come visit. I love getting together with all of the students, getting to know you. I always have fun treats for everybody when you come in to see me, and I hope that you will take the time to come in and just hang out in my office so we can get to know each other and work together over the next 4 years. Congratulations on entering high school, and welcome to Pioneer Valley Christian Academy.